Learning Sfas Emes, Weekly Parsha Emor, which he wrote in the year Tov Reish Lamed Beis, the year 5632. In the Medrash we find Emor's Torahs. The question is, how could, it says Emor v'Amal to Emor's Torahs, you have to say pure statements. How can a person, a boss of Adom, can purify himself properly? Just because everything was created with a statement of Hashem. As we know, in 10 statements, the world was created. Therefore, that statement gives the purity, because everything is from a statement of Hashem. And that's why Imris Hashem Amoris Tohiris, the statements of our God are pure. And when one is attached to the root of life that we find in every existing thing, there's a source of life, which is from Hashem. That's why he says Emor v'Amarto, meaning if you'll say it, you recognize it, then you will achieve the purity that comes from that statement, which gives life to that thing, to that statement. That the purity comes through statements. In the Emor we find Hashem Ha'amircho. Now Hashem Ha'amircho means He loved you, but it comes also from the root of Emor. We became one unit with Hashem. There's a concept of the unity of Hashem, Klal Yisrael, and Torah. And we, in a sense, in this world, show HaKadosh Baruch Hu to be one unit with us. As it says, Amira is the connection and the attachment to the root of all life. And to add to this clarification, that's why we do Sfas Emes. We say HaKadosh Baruch Hu commanded us in order that we should purify ourselves. In other words, the statement of Sfas Emes, the very usage of words, helps to purify ourselves. Because in Yetzias Mitzrayim, every Jew saw that he can go out of the position that he's in, and every other desire becomes subject or totally disappears when he wants to have a contact with Hashem. This is the freedom that our will should always be, to become nullified and joined to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And that's what it says in the time of Yetzias Mitzrayim, that the Gula was through miracles. It's a concept of nullification, not what we can understand nature, not from nature, and not from intellect. And afterwards, after Yetzias Mitzrayim, Seder Olam, the objective of life is to clarify these attributes that one is attached in the soul of a man after the life that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives into every action, into every feeling. Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu is without end, infinite, and He has no measurement or boundary. Thus, bringing life to creations is called a midah, it's called a measure. As it says, as I wrote in other places, the midah she'odam moeded, in other words, how we measure, that's how HaKadosh Baruch Hu measures us, meaning how we use the measures of life that were given to us from Hashem. And according to what a person accepts upon himself, those measures of spiritual life into his midos, into his essential being, that his desire and wants should be to bring all of his attributes, of his qualities, love, fear, the ability to overcome, all of these should be directed only according to that which HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants him to do. According to what the light comes from this original point into his actual midas that are in his life. so too he purifies himself from all tumas and all other desires, which HaKadosh Baruch Hu does not desire them. But they're there because there's a concept of choice. And so too Shabbos Kodesh, and the days of the week, are also involved in this concept. On Shabbos, we have the ability to say we forget about the worldly things, and we nullify ourselves to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And in the weekdays, we take that life which Shabbos gives us into the physical world, and therefore it's called Yemei Avodah. It doesn't mean work days only from a concept of physical work, but to work to make the days that are secular spiritual. And this too is Emor v'Amarto, meaning Hashem Yisborach brought us close to Him in order that we should be able to achieve by our attachment and our absorption to the general Klal Yisrael, gives us the ability to do things which we couldn't do otherwise. That's why you have to say Emor v'Amarto. Tell them together you can do it. Emor, you made us one unit, all of Klal Yisrael. V'Amarto aleim. This is what, and you should tell them. How does this come about? Because the words of Hashem in everything that we do, and the ritzonos and our desire that we have should be for Hashem. From that comes purity. That's how a person can purify himself. May we merit a purity, especially right before Lag Boima. We talk about Rab Shimon Bar Yochai, who achieved that level and made it possible for us to comprehend it through the Zohar, and ultimately through the Ari, and then through the Heilige Baal Shem Tov, through Chassidus. May we merit the coming of Mashiach Tzidkenu, who will show us what we have accomplished in this world. Have a good Shabbos.